Hello, you're welcome again, friend. Welcome to class. I'm always excited, to have you in class. The reason is because you and I, being in class simply indicates that you are also passionate in having things work in our marriages and relationships. So thank you for joining us today again. Um, Let me thank you for your comments so far. I appreciate them. That's why I keep repeating this. Thank you so much. And also, for those who are interested in translating our videos to other languages, please write in. We'll give approval formally, and then you can get it done. So you don't have problem with intellectual property laws. If you do it without our approval, then there are issues. So to avoid that, writing will give you approval. Please, we have several of these videos on relationship and family life. That's our major niche. So please, check up our channel at Benjamin Edem. It's on the thumbnail, and enjoy the teachings, various aspects of relationships and family life. God bless you. Welcome today, as we are going to be looking at another very important issue, and that is we're going to be dealing with caught in the web of your family's default operating systems. Caught in CAUGHT, not CUT. Caught in the web of your family's operating systems. And we're saying that we're going to be looking at the hidden rules. Hidden rules are shaping your family even now. The hidden rules shaping your family even now. You're welcome. Shall we pray to begin then? Thank you, Father, for another session of prayers. Oh, Holy Spirit, possess us, and even as we go on, let your presence be felt. Everyone watching now, those listening to the audio version, bless hearts and cause relationships and families to be well. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, welcome back, friend. Welcome. As a matter of preamble, I need to be able to establish what we mean by your family's operating systems. The family operating system, you do know very well that in the computer world that we are today, there are computer operating systems, and some of them, maybe just mention one or two. You have the Windows, you also have the Android, a couple of them, couple of other ones. These are computer operating systems. So today, when we're dealing with your family operating system, we're not looking at these things. We're looking at the emotional operating system in your own family. The emotional operating, that's looking at the emotional software. Let's put it that way for more interest. The emotional software that is operating in your own family. Now, the truth of the matter is that because of the differentials in temperaments of people, differentials in exposure, education, training or skill, interest or whatever, there are a lot of policy guidelines that operate in our homes. Many of our fathers and aged parents and grandparents, they established the operational system in their homes based on certain factors. It could be education, it could be exposure, it could be training, it could be experiences they have had in life with people, and so they reshape themselves to be able to live well in their kind of world. Now, we are saying that they establish those policies and train themselves to go along with them. Those are the operating systems they dealt with. They had to, confront and live with. Now, we who have come on stage, the issue is this. Are there some of the operating systems, or maybe it's the policy statements, that your parents, stood for, they abided by to be able to run their families well? Many of them are good. Of course, they will be good, but then there are some that are very, very, awkward and unacceptable. The issue is this. Are you still operating with such hidden rules, such hidden habits? They are very unconventional. These are things that are inherited behaviors, of course, emotional patterns that are not, too good enough. They are unspoken, they are hidden, they are emotional behaviors These things, they reshape your 3 R's, what I call 3 R's, okay? The 3 R's, I mean your relationship, your response, and of course, what you repeat, the repeat pattern. Relationship, how you relate, how you respond, and how you repeat. These are the 3 R's. So these things actually do, affect how the young ones come up running their homes, because there are some things that are inherited factors. Inherited factors, of course, we know that there's nothing we can do about it. Characteristics, most of which are inherited from the genes. But of course, some people have come up to the point of saying, all right, I'm going to access this behavior pattern that existed in my grandfather's house, in my father's house, my roots family, and I'm going to see what I'll be doing, with these things. It's either, one is trapped with, you're either trapped with this kind of hidden, unspoken rules or inherited patterns from your parents' style of administration, or you are free, to run your own. But these things can be so long-standing; they are generational. They are generational, and we're going to be looking at a number of them. There's so many examples we're going to be looking at, from the way conflict is being managed to the way, there's people are being treated, the reception you give to people, and all of these things. But incidentally, we discover that no matter how refurbished the people are, how much they have grown up to establish their own, family principles, the old pattern still leaks into their marriage. Those old patterns still leak into their marriage. I call leak L-E-A-K. You understand that? So this is what we're dealing with. You caught in the web of your family, your family's operating statements, and I want to code name that as an acronym, Fadops, family default operating systems. Family default operating systems. Of course, that when we talk in terms of default, that means is the basic, is the foundational, it is a happening thing, it is a current thing, that is the running, what is running behind, just like in computer, there's no matter what you do in phones, the operating systems are running at the background. So in this same way, we see that the default operating systems, emotional default operating systems are running at the background. Maybe in your marriage, that's what we say. Even in your own marriage, it's possible that you have adopted certain things or they have inherited certain things, and you're carrying them on. Of course, we do know that these things could be good and could be bad. We always want that we advance in the good direction, but not definitely in the bad, direction. And again, we come to see in life that somehow, environment could place a demand on you to make some adjustments in a behavioral pattern in a family, default operating system. Environments could make a demand that you will have to adjust. Haven't come to a place where you live with this kind of people. What system of living should you adopt? What style? What pattern of living? What are the characteristics, emotional style that you need to live? You need to adopt or operate with in the environment that you have. Financial status could be many things affect these default operating systems, family default operating systems. Current one. Let me distinguish between what I call the roots family, ROOT. Root family is a family that let's assume a young man who has come out from a family, his father and mother's family and all of that. So the father and mother's family where he was born into is a root family. And then I'm going to be looking, and when each time I mention immediate family, I'm talking about, suppose the young man has grown up and then he is now married and he has his own immediate family. So I have roots family and immediate family. And in the course of our discussion, I'm going to be referring to those two families. So it should be quite distinguished and understood. All right. As we delve into the teaching proper, I want to sound some sort of cautions, notes of caution. I'm going to be saying two things in terms of notes of caution. Number one, this teaching is not supposed to be about shaming, or blaming or being judgmental, against our parents. No, it's not about shaming our parents, our root family. It's not about blaming our root family. It's not about being judgmental over our root family. No, but it's about what? Just realizing that there is that actually these emotional behavior patterns, do transfer, and that they exist, and they are transferable from generation to generation, despite what we think, how far we think we have tried, and all of that, with various tools on our hands to be able to nip these patterns in the bud. No, we have not successfully. Some have sneaked into our families, our immediate families, and these are the things we are looking at. So we will please take note that this video is not to blame. It's not about blaming. It's not about shaming. It's not about being judgmental. That's one of the notes of caution I want to really sound right now. Secondly, I want to say that I do know that teachings of this nature can stir up one's emotions, and so but it's advisable that as you listen carefully. Let there be attentive listening, and make room for some sort of stirring up of your emotions. Of course, this is the essence of the teaching. Why we don't want to sound negative, we don't want to act negative, we don't want the negative emotions to be stirred up, but we want to call our senses to order. All right, so these are the things that we'll be looking at. Next thing on, as I try and keep on in the introduction of this lesson, I want to be talking about, let me try and give some examples, because in the course of the points I'm going to be naming how to address this issue, I will just be mentioning those things in passing, but it's good for me to itemize them now, to categorize them now. Some of these Fadops, FADOPS, which is the acronym for Family Default Operating System, as I could name it now. So there are these things, I'm going to be naming them right now, so that we can see how they operate. Let's look at, and I'm going to classify how these Fadops, affects immediate families. Let me look at maybe 4 or 5, depending on the time. Look at 4 or 5 areas. First, let me start with the effects of Fadops, in effective communication. Effect of Fadop in what? In effective communication. Now you notice that there are some homes. You see the way people talk to people, the way husbands address their wives, the way parents talk to their children. Very, very, very civil. Very, very in a disciplined way. Very, very exemplary. But others are very, very critical. It's always about criticism. It's always about judgment. They are judgmental. They are passive. Passive. It's either they are passive in the communication, or they are aggressive in the communication, or they have no time for listening. There's no listening ability and all that, or even if they listen at all, not attentive listening. They are not accommodating and all of that in their discussions. Are always wild and hard and all of that. This is one way that we can say there's a leakage perhaps from where you came from. Well, apart from what is adopted in the environment and society because of certain factors, some of which I've mentioned earlier on. It could be because of education, because of environment, because of the experiences you have with people. Someone can get hard. Somebody who came from a very good home, where the civil, they are civil in discussion, can get difficult, harsh and hard, with his immediate family because of what he has picked up in society. All these things are possible, but we are saying that this in an example of family default operating system, which might be operating in an immediate family, is this is the effect on communication. It's not good enough to be critical. I did mention in one of my videos the difference between critique and critical. All right, CRITIQUE is critique, and CRITICAL, critical. All right, so critique is offering a useful advice towards adjusting or changing in the system, or the method the strategy being used in attending to a purpose, trying to achieve a purpose. That's a critique. It's not attacking the individual person. It's not humiliating the person. It's not making nonsense of the intelligence of the person. But criticism is that which attacks the person. When you find a young man who is very, very critical, he's always attacking the individual. A young man attacking his wise person and all of that. It's not about offering a better way of let's do this, but it's about attacking the person. That's how you behave like this. That's how your parents behave like this. That's how you are behaving like and all of those things. That is being critical. So that's very critical. For some who came from very critical homes, these things have leaked into your immediate family. From your roots family, they have leaked into your immediate family. For those who pick these things up in the streets, well, we will be looking at what to do with some of these things. Fadops affects in communication. Okay, let's look at the effects of Fadops. Of course, I've said that Fadop means family default operating system, which we are dealing with. The hidden rules that are operating in your family, even your own now, even now as we are speaking, in the way you run your life. Okay, we have looked at the effects of what Fadop in communication. Let's now look at the effects, as he's saying, in emotional expression. You see, the family, default operating system, you can see it in effect. In immediate family, you can see it in effect when you take your mind back to the way, there's the emotional expressions in the home. There's sometimes the suppression of, you will suppress everyone. Sometimes there's over expression of, a point. You want to make sure that if anyone didn't see your point, if anyone didn't accept your point, that person is an enemy. That person did not, is not a friend. Should not be associated with. Everyone must be coerced, to get seeing the point and standing by the point you are making. Over expression, suppression of information. Sometimes it shows itself in dependence on external validation. Maybe you depend so much on external validation. No, my friend. Let me tell you something. Think of yourself. Your fulfillment. I've said it before. For fathers and parents, your fulfillment should not be in your children and their achievements. It should be in your purpose, the fulfillment of your purpose, in life. So in this same way, validation should start from the inside of you. Yes, I've done my best given the circumstances. Even if you are giving something to somebody, didn't say thank you, what does it matter? You fulfill your purpose in life. That the thank you or no thank you will not take away the blessings. And of course, when the blesser is going to bless, when God is going to bless, he will definitely pass through people, but his blessing is not from people. It is through people. He will pass it. So what we are saying is that the family default operating system does affect the way we communicate emotional expressions. Let's not be depending on external validation. Think of internal validation. Think of validation from the inside, of yourself. That's what we are saying for now. All right, let's look at how Fadops also affect, financial management. There are fathers and all of that who are very frugal. There are fathers who are tight-fisted. There are fathers who don't see reason to reach out to anybody. He didn't suffer with me. He didn't labor with me. Why should I, take my labor and give to someone else? That kind of father is also modeling some kind of children, and there are some characteristics that will move into the children, and they will behave the same way in their immediate families. Okay, but there's some that are some are even overspending. They're overspending. I know Scripture talks about he said that we should not withhold. That's Proverbs 11:24-25. We will not withhold more than is meet. That is, there's a portion to be withheld. There's a portion to be saved. And that is very crucial to me. That's what I know. That's what I practice. In fact, my savings purse is my internal borrowing purse when there's need to borrow from. That's very crucial. So there's a need to withhold some part, do some saving. But when you see a child overspend, here and there, you want to meet the needs of all the people in the world, you think you can satisfy everybody. The child will soon suddenly discover that when he's in need, as if there are no people in the world, as if he didn't even help anybody. Overspending is not. So this is part of what can leak into, can filter, into your own immediate family, maybe because of how you are brought up in your own family. There could be some sort of financial stresses, financial anxiety, and all of that. It comes from the home. Maybe in the absence of too many resources and material things in the home where you come from, everybody's always worrying over these. What shall I eat? What shall I wear? Where will I live? Okay, and what will I drive? And all of that. Those financial anxiety can leak into the immediate families of the children that are coming up there. Those are the things we're addressing. They are defaults, family operating systems, family living patterns, and these are things we are looking at. So, okay, let's look at the fourth way Fadops, affects the immediate family and the children coming up, the family of the immediate children that are coming up, is how they relate to the relationship with people, relationship with their family. Some people are very, very hypersensitive. They have a hypersensitive patterns of behaving. Relationships a lot. The Fadops family default operating system, where you are raised, your root family, has a lot to do with in your relationship today. Understand that. Now, I know that so well from my personal family. That's what we said. We're going to be sharing practical tips from my personal family. I know that one so well. I know so well. The loving attitude. We want to give this. We want to care and care. Sometimes we care and even care for others better than ourselves, which is unscriptural, really, because the Bible says you should love others as we. Not beyond what we love ourselves, but as the measure we love, ourselves, we should love others. But sometimes we go beyond that. It shows in the children. They're very loving. They spend so much, and they're caring, so caring. They care for their wives. Husbands who came from caring homes know how to care for their wives. They know how to love their wives. They know how to accommodate their wives. They know how to take care of their children, because that's the root training they have, and that has infiltrated, or not filtered in, not infiltrated really, which sounds negative. Okay, they are filtered, that has filtered in, that has leaked into, that has crept into their new families. That's also a pattern. But there are also negative things about relationship that family operating system, default operating system shows to us. Sometimes you just find that there's over controlling and over possessive tendencies. If the father, the mother was over possessive, over controlling, it's going to show. It is going to show in the life of the child and the family of the immediate family of the child. And so these are things that you need to know. You need to know these things, and so that you know what to do. We're going to be talking, on what to do. I haven't discovered this default operating systems in your own family. All right. So in some family, we're talking in terms of relationship. Sometimes people are very carefree, very, very carefree, and they have no basic values by which they relate with people. No basic values by which they relate to people. Sometimes you see people who avoid conflicts. Avoidance of conflicts. One of the ways you see family was default operating system. In an immediate family, when the parents were such that they avoid all kind of conflicts, children are likely to take that up, except those ones who have rewritten the script. All right. So this is one way by which the Fadops, as I call it today, operate, affects our relationships. Okay, let's look at the other way is that Fadops affects our business attitudes. Fadops affects our business attitudes. If you are raised in a place where, sit down, everything is, do it for me, come for all things are ready, and which is a very bad way, an example of a bad way on how to raise a child. You are entitled to everything in this life so long as I can afford it. No. It's time by time. It's turn by turn. Your iPhone today or iPad or something is not going to be of any use to the child in primary school. When a child, your son, your daughter is still at the mental age of a primary school, somebody or something, what's the use of, the extravagances all around just because you can afford them? No. So we are saying in business circles, people who came from, homes where they do less. I don't like to use the word lazy. And of course, there's a difference between laziness and idleness. Laziness and idleness. Idleness simply means not willing to do anything, not just willing to do anything, but you want to enjoy everything. You want to have everything to yourself. You want to be given everything. You want to receive everything from everybody, but really not doing, and not doing anything at all. It's, come for all things are ready. That's a behavior pattern which can leak into a child's life, and it takes it to, to his or her home. It happens most times to ladies. And they said, I'm getting married, my husband will bring housemaid. Day one, housemaid. Except you are working class. Except you are one of those in those professions where 24 hours they are at work. And there's an agreement. Okay. All right, so let's look at. So that's idleness, not just willing to do anything, but you want to enjoy everything. Then laziness, in my own understanding, simply means doing far less than you can do. far less than the capacity you have got, the capacity you are given. You are doing far less than that, and it happens, in many places. So Fadops affects what? The work ethics, behavior ethics in business circles. Maybe in your private businesses, you could be in a public corporation there and all of that. Some people are even workaholics. They work and work and work, and we call them workaholics and all of that. It's a behavior pattern. Work, and then carry some part of the job home. I know, my friend, I've been in it. You work and work and work and carry part of the office work back home. Oh, God, have mercy upon us. Tell me, why won't I see this happening in the life of my sons and daughters? Now, I'm not saying, apart from what is passed in from the gene and all to them, there are certain things they see and they carry over. These are the things that we call default family operating systems. These are the things. And they need to be reassessed. We're going to be looking at that. So these are the areas I have mentioned, that Fadops affects everything that we do in life. That affects the communication and the communication skill everywhere, in home or outside, in church, in the business circles, everywhere. It affects our emotional expression. Sometimes we're too hard on people, too harsh on people. We transfer aggression because we are having some sort of experiences which we should keep to ourselves. After all, those people are not responsible. They are not responsible. Even if they were responsible, you permitted them to be responsible for afflicting you, and that's why you should take responsibility rather than transferring the aggression. We have mentioned that fathers also affects the financial management of a home. We also mentioned how it affects relationship, and lastly we mentioned how it affects in the business circles. Now, I haven't got to this point. We want to see. Let us now look at what we should do. What should we now do? Let's now zero in. Since these teachings are all about family life, I want to zero in how Fadops affects our family lives, as well as what to do. Okay, but before I go just into that, let me say something here. Fadops is like dogma in terms of theological circles. There's a difference between dogma and doctrine. Doctrine is that which is unalterable, clearly and evidently stated in the Word of God to be implemented. But sometimes doctrine has a lacuna, and that lacuna needs to be addressed. I'll give you an example. So, church leaders come up with some rules, regulations on how to implement the unalterable doctrine. Doctrines are not alterable. An example is water baptism, for instance. In the Eucharist or communion service, these are doctrines. They are not alterable. It's not a pick and choose thing. They are there. Those are doctrines. But did the Bible tell you when you are going to be baptized, you should wear white dress? Did it tell you should wear a shirt? Did it tell you, how to walk in a line? Did it tell you sing this or don't sing that? Those are what the dogmas, polity statements, scriptural polity statements, individually, produced or generated by the church leaders, particular organization, in order to fulfill doctrine. But dogmas are not doctrines. Dogmas can change. Dogmas can be altered, but doctrines cannot change. Okay, so in the same way, these Fadops we are dealing with is like that. There are certain traits that were carried from our family homes and all of that. They can be moderated on. After all, what's the essence of dogma? To make things work well in terms of doctrine. So Fadops is also to make the family run well. To make your family run well. That's what we're talking about. It will help so much so that you don't find a situation where a young man is repeating verbatim, what his father, he saw his father doing, as if times have not changed, as if knowledge have not increased, as if there are no environmental factors affecting, he just does these things, he just carry them verbatim, he swallows them hook, line, sinker, in his own family. There are certain things that were to be assessed and all of that. And so also that we can have over deviating. A child said, no, I'm gonna take after my father. He was doing his own. Now I'm not gonna take after him. that is also what we call over deviating. The extreme case where you don't think that your father had sense, there was any reason, whatsoever, beneficial reason whatsoever, why he instituted certain policies in the home, why he said certain things should be done like this. But family devotion is not to be compromised. Why he said everybody do your job. There's a plates cleaning for the age of a washing plate. There's a house cleaning for everyone. Everyone help, mutual help for one another. There are certain reasons why these dogmas, call it family dogmas if you like, these policy statements are placed so to run the family as well. They are. So don't be over deviating and thinking that now I'm not going to follow my father. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a reverend. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not an imam. No, there were basic reasons why these things were instituted in the home. So don't over deviate, because some of these things cause all kind of traumas, unresolved traumas, and the families never be in peace whatsoever. All right, let's quickly go now to zero in and see how the Fadops, these hidden emotional patterns affects our families. Number one, I need to also say that it brings about emotional shutdowns, or some people just keep pleasing people. That's what they saw their father doing, their parents doing. They just keep pleasing people. And now, I'm not saying it's wrong to go about hurting people all over the place. No, that's not what we're saying. But at the same time, there's a time to have your personal policy. This is what I want in my family, and I don't want that. My dad accepted that everyone can, walk around everywhere naked in the house. I won't. No, in the interest of my girl children, I won't. Certain things like that. So there are emotional shutdowns, that some people experience because of these Fadops. Sometimes you want to please people, and we even do this by over-pleasing people. Some people avoid conflict and all of that. They avoid conflict, anything that wants to bring conflict, they stay away from it and all of that, only return when there's time for fun, F-U-N, when there's time for fun. No. Conflict avoidance is a trace. It's one of those Fadops, those hidden rules, hidden principles, carry over in living styles that are operational in some immediate families today, and they came all along from the root family. God will continue to help you. Now, I think right at this point in time now, we're going to be looking at, let me try and be a little bit faster so that this video will not be longer than this. Well, let's look at what to do about this family default operating systems. What to do? What should you do? Having discovered these traits, what should you do? Number one, I say explore and implore family history. Sit down and think. Is there any family history tied to this kind of behavior pattern? You must discover the identity of the people of the family. Discover the identity of the people of that family and see, is it a characteristic that has traveled all the way down to where we are now? Is this something, how good is it, by the way? If it's something good, okay, we can let it continue, So explore and implore the family history, your roots family, where you have come from, and see how it's affecting you and all of that. This kind of pattern where everybody sleeps around with everybody there and brings in a girl child and brings in a child to the home that without marriage. Find out something is going on. Something might be, some sort of spiritual or behind the scene hands that are working on this. So also explore and implore the self-worth. Self-worth, it helps so much that you'll be able to connect the dots, between the past and the present life. How did they assess their self-worth? What were they really worth? How did they assess the self-worth and all of that? By the time you begin to explore and implore this, and find out how they assess themselves, how they value their living styles and principles. Were there any values or whatsoever? Then you yourself will know what to do. If there was none, establish one. We're going to get to you writing down what or rewriting the narrative. Okay, let's look at, so point number 2, or what to do. I'm rushing now. Point number 2, or what to do, so that you don't have these negative Fadops affecting your family, these negative family default operating systems, those hidden characteristics, hidden transferable, inherited, pattern of living, negatively affecting your home. All right, so what do? Ask yourself some questions that bring about reflection and healing. Ask yourself some questions. First one was explore and implore the opportunities available, the family history. Now ask yourself some relevant questions. These questions will bring about what reflection and healing. What are some of those questions that are possible? You should ask yourself. You ask yourself, what silent rules? What are the silent rules that my root family was operating, which I have been transferred, unconsciously is now transferred to my own family? What are those rules, those silent rules that my root family was operating, which is now operating in my own family? How is it okay? Are those rules okay? If they're okay, good enough. But if they're not okay, address them. They're going to be talking about that. So you're going to, because you're building a new relationship, a new family, and you need to be able to assess how it goes there. So that's one of the questions you need to ask yourself. What were those hidden rules, behavior patterns, inherited patterns that are now showing themselves in my family? By the way, are they positive? Are they negative? If they are positive, congratulations, you can improve on them. But if they are negative, you must deal with them. You must confront them. And all of them. They will travel. They are generational. This Fadops generational. I said so earlier on. All right, the next question you want to ask yourself, what are the major emotional pattern that is exhibited in this? Where did I get it from? Is it my dad that used to behave like this? Is it my mom that used to behave like this? Or was it my uncle or my auntie? Who exactly used to behave like this? Okay, he used to behave like this. How did he end up? With this kind of attitude or behavior, how did that my uncle or my dad end up? How did he end up? Did he end up well? If he didn't end up well, so why adopt his living principle? Why adopt his styles of living? If he lived all through his life and was a mediocre, so why will you choose to take the characteristic pattern, that is going to make you a mediocre for life? No, that's not fair. It's not fair to your intelligence. So you ask yourself those two basic questions. It will help you and see the examples of people, who exhibited the pattern that is happening in your home now. And then you now know whether to move on or not. All right, so we're looking at what to do. The first thing I mentioned is that you should explore and implore the family history. Second, I say ask yourself some questions, some relevant questions that will bring about reflection and healing. Healing there simply means that you will now sit back and say, no, I put a stop to this, or I encourage this one. That's the healing process. And of course, I'm going to tell you what to do when you are healing. All right, let's look at point number 3 now. I'm really rushing because of time. Point number 3, start at the starting point now. What is the starting point? With all the practical tools that are available in your hands now, start making positive changes. Start at the starting point. When you discover some negative patterns, start at the starting point. And the starting point is use the available tools in your hands. Your tools are physical. Your tools could be your physical strength. Your tools could be your mental strength. Your tool could be your knowledge. Your tools could be your exposure. Your tools could be your skill. Use all the practical available tips and tools, to make a change. And how do you make this change? First, you write down the prompting questions. Now, I think at this point in time, let me quickly rush because of time, so that to look at how to make a change. How do you want to make a change? Suppose you find negative patterns that you need to adjust. How do you make a change? Number 1, write down those prompting questions, those prompt questions, that you need to assess. Those things such as, what is this kind of life? Where did it come from? Did I introduce this to the home? How beneficial is it? All of those prompting questions, write them down. Write them down. Definitely write them down. Expressly write them down. It will help you to address them one after the other. All right. Again, what do you do to be able to change the narrative? So after that first point, which is what writing them down, next one is on engage, your family. Engage your family in an honest family chat or conversation. Engage them. What do you think of this? Darling, sweetheart, what do you think of this? Is it fair that we're having this kind of situation? Why is this pattern repeating? Is it happening in our fathers? It's happening in our mothers? It didn't go down well there. So why is it repeating here? Engage your partner. Discuss with your partner. What can we do about it? Do you think you're going to cooperate with me so that we can make a change? This is very, very important. So that negative pattern, that undid, your parents will not undo you. It shall not be your portion. Point number 3 of things to do to rewrite, your family history. Set up New and appropriate family values. New and appropriate family values and maxims and rules. Set that up now. I've said this over and over again. In some instances, 2-3 videos, I mentioned the issue of vision statement and mission statement. Even the vision statement and mission statement needs to be reassessed over time. Set it up so that you don't just carry over, from your previous family, from your root family, and think it will translate, transfer 100% into your family. Things change, environment change, many things have changed. All right, so set up new rules and core values of your family that everybody must rally around. The maxims and whatever is going to guide your family. That's point number 3. Point number 4 now. You yourself who have experienced some sort of trauma, who have come all this way, you have suffered certain things as a result of this negative pattern, these hidden characteristics, these inherited characteristics that you have carried. Sometimes financially, you just throw money all over the place and solve everybody's problem, and you end up broke, not having money. Now you are understanding. What should you do? Maybe you need to sit down first and foremost. Let me look at this point. First and foremost, think of whether you need to encourage yourself. Encourage yourself to heal. Encourage yourself. Sit yourself down. Well, I discovered it. It didn't go down well. I'm not going to feel frustrated that I did that. I'm not going to regret all the while. I have come to my senses now. At least I'm going to program my income. I'm going to make sure that my savings, I'm going to make sure that there's a special account that is devoted to helping people. Encourage yourself. Just encourage yourself. Don't feel frustrated, so frustrated that you feel that life is all over. It's not over at all. It's not all over. You will still make it. So that's the point, that you need to look at. Then the next point is that you should do what? Think of benefiting from support groups. There are community associations or people who have had this kind of maybe negative traits or negative emotions and all of that. There are support groups. Feel free to identify. Feel free to find resources from there, resource materials from there, resource information from there to be able to heal and to do well, so that you don't also start a new pattern and generate a new pattern that is not going to be good enough in your children's generation. Because if you think you're over deviating, you might be creating a new pattern of family, operating system which your children will follow. And if they are not wise enough and they follow the negative pattern because you over deviated, then they are going to be having issues. Of course, it always bounce back to the parents. All right. So point number five, or what to do now. After setting up a new pattern, now encourage yourself. Then the next thing is support group. Find a support group, support community where you belong. And then point number 5, learn to pause your plans sometimes. When you make plans and your thoughts, pause your thoughts and your plans sometimes. You've drafted something, what you want to do. This is what I want to do, vision. This is what I want to do. Pause it for some time. Leave it for a week. Leave it for 2 weeks. Before you come back to it, there are going to be inputs. Some things are going to happen. And then when those things start happening, you have some of the best decisions. You have made some of the best decisions. Many decisions that we make is as a result of either pre-reacting or overreacting. We are pre-reacting or overreacting. Or we're even pre-acting. We have not fully assessed situations and given a pause. So pause your thoughts. Pause your decision. Leave it for a short time. Leave it for a while. Ask authors, those who write books. They will tell you after they have written the thing they have got the best, they leave it for some time. By the time they come back for a review, they will make it better. So better decisions will come if you will pause your thoughts and your actions, for a short while before you will continue. Maybe I should take this as the last so that I can call it up now. Focus on progress, not on perfection. No one is perfect. No one is perfect. Practice, to me, doesn't make perfect because no one is perfect. Practice makes better. So focus on progress, not on perfection, so that you don't begin to, think you die and for nothing, that you are not perfect. Focus on progress, that you're making progress, consistent progress, in adjusting things and changing things in your home. Thank God that you have not got to the point that you are now focused on progress. So start rewriting the script. Start rewriting,
a new kind of family policies, a new kind of family rules that if they begin to leak into your children's, living style and family pattern, then you will not regret it. That automatically means you're building your own a new operating system, and of course, it has to be built on awareness, on truth, and emotional freedom. Let it be built on awareness, on truth, and emotional freedom. You're not under any tension. You're not under any pressure. Rewire. That's he said. You usually hear people say, "That's how I'm wired." There's need for rewiring. You can rewire. Yes, you can, and it's necessary. That's what I'm saying. That means rebuild your own what? Operating system. Rebuild it. Maybe it's personal, maybe it's for a family. Rebuild your operating system. Rewire. There's need sometimes to do that. And every wise person does it from time to time. I want to call it off now because I think it's getting long again. God bless you. Thank you so very much. Those hidden patterns must be done away with. Let's institute patterns that will help us in our own marriages. God bless you sincerely. Please like, share, subscribe. Let me find that the subscription in number is increasing. God bless you. Share to others, inform them. It's well with you. God bless you. Thank you so much.